Second strike capability is India is a nuclear nation.
Correct.
So this nukes and missiles we can launch from the land. Suppose say that all those launch facilities or lands are compromised or hit. Then where do we launch our nuclear assets from?
Submarine.
Yes. We have two nuclear class submarines. These are called the Arihant class, which can launch a nuke-tipped missile from the submarine. So you already deployed it somewhere in waters. Your land assets are gone, but you can still launch it from the sea. Submarine, right? The fuel is inside the submarine itself. It's a nuclear reactor, right? So there is no dearth of fuel.
It keeps it.
It just keeps. It doesn't have to come to even periscopic depth. So the entire crew will just rally on one and only one purpose, that is missile fighting.
Hey Amshu, tell me what is the general services in the executive branch, since you belong to that?
Yeah, so Navy has, in an organizational setup, Navy has different branches which support running of a ship. So executive branch is one branch, and it is further divided into various other branches like general service, logistics, pilots, ATC. I belong to the general service. So general service is the fighting arm of the Navy per se. Okay. When you say fighting arm, it means that the general service is further divided into various functions, like you have the gunnery, you have the navigation, you have the communication, you have the anti-submarine warfare. So these are the specializations which come under general service, which are required for the warfighting efforts. So the general service officers specialize or do work in one of these functions in order for warfighting to happen, or to plan for a war, or to execute the plans which are required for a war.
What is gunnery about, Amshu? You mentioned there's something known as gunnery. What is gunnery in general services?
Okay, I'll keep it very simple. So, general service, so a gunnery, so I'll tell you about all the branches which are there under the general service. So, suppose say you want to go from place A to place B, right? Generally, if you think that you will take a metro to a particular place, get down at a certain point of time, particular place, and then you'll take a rickshaw to go to your destination. That rickshaw is what is a gunnery officer. Basically, I'll tell you how. So when you're planning for an exercise, say you want to go from place A to place B, launch a particular missile, right? Going from place A to place B is all planned by the operations officer / navigating officer. Right? When will you leave? When will you be there? What will be the heading? What will be the speed? What is the fuel consumption, etc. Once you go there, what you want to do? You want to basically launch your missiles, and the missiles have to hit the target. As a Navy and in the ships, that is the major, the tasking that comes. So that planning of launching of the missile and for the missile to hit the target is what the gunnery officer does. This is in a very layman term, and it's a broad definition which I'm giving. But if you go into the nitty-gritties of it, there are a lot of seamanship evolutions that happen on a ship, right? A ship, when you're doing replenishment at sea, where you're taking fuel from another tanker to extend your endurance, right? So for that, there'll be rigs, there'll be ropes, there'll be like huge rigs which will come from the tanker to your ship, get attached, and then the fuel transfer will happen. So for that to happen, there will be a crew on the deck who will be supporting that. So that conduct of that crew is what gunnery officer also kind of facilitates, right? A gunnery officer can also be a person, like when you're coming alongside a harbor, which is one of the most, it looks very simple, but when you're doing it, it requires a lot of precision. It requires a lot of people coming together at a very sequenced kind of event, so that the ship comes at a particular place safely to harbor. Like you'll pass the ropes from the ship to the dock, which is there. So the passing of the ropes, which rope has to go first, which rope has to go last, all is directed by the gunnery officer. So that's basically what a gunnery officer does. Coming to the navigating officer and the operational officer, he is the program manager, basically, right? So there is electrical branch on a ship, there is engineering branch on a ship, there is general service branch on a ship, there is other logistics branch on a ship. So in order to say an exercise to happen, you have to have like a ship, like a frigate will have like say around 150 to 200 men on board. So you need to get ration on board. The ship also has like the fuel endurance, right? It will consume so much tons of fuel per hour. So that has to be calculated. The equipments have to be, serviced, ensured that they are operational, which the electrical department will undertake. So that also he has to plan. He has to ensure that all these activities are undertaken. The engineering department is basically, responsible for the propulsion of the ship. So they will have their own activities, but bringing them all together for a ship to go from place A to place B and also to time the entire activity. Hey, when will your, the radars go on? When will your radars go off? Which is your targeting position? From where will be the targeting convenient, right? What will be the heading of the ship? There's so many other things that the navigating officer has his plans while carrying out the evolution. So that's basically what a navigating officer does. This is again, in a very layman term, very broad term. Communicating officer, like the name suggests, basically for communicating from one ship to another, but the role has gone into a lot of technical aspects of electronic warfare. So a communicating officer also handles electronic warfare. So the jammers will be there on the ship. The people who maintain the jammers are electrical officer. The people who will use those jammers for the operational purposes is the communicating officer and his branch, basically the people who are there in communication branch. So electronic warfare, electronic countermeasures, all these things are handled by the communications officer. Then there's someone called anti-submarine warfare officer. Like the name suggests, his whole point is the ship will have the sonar dooms. So he and his team is responsible to hunt the submarines. So that's what he specializes in. So these all people come together and make the general service.
Okay. So when a ship sails, how many people are there in the crew? What is the count of, depending upon, of course, the size of the ship, I'm sure it would be increasing, decreasing. But say if it is for one exercise, if you have to go on and you have to sail, what is the minimum strength of crew members? So
in a ship, how the ship operates is when the ship is commissioned, right? Say it is an aircraft carrier. Aircraft carrier has a complement of around 2,000 men, right?
Oh my God.
Men and women. So when a ship operates in a peacetime, we have 3 shifts, right? And every part of the ship has to be manned. Like your radars have to be manned, your operations room have to be manned, your anti-submarine warfare, like there is an operations room for that has to be manned, your bridge has to be manned. If you are using your guns, then you'll need people to operate those guns and missiles, those have to be manned. So there is a complement which is kind of defined when the ship itself gets commissioned, right? Depending on the class of ship, that crew will always be there with the ship. So it is not dependent on the exercise which we are going, but the class of ship which we are operating. Say, for example, if there is a frigate or a destroyer, a minimum will be like 150 to 200. That's what I'm saying in the minimum, 200 to 250, like will be the strength of that ship, right? So it is on the class of ship and what that class of ship is equipped to do. So some of the ships are more on, like say, they only do anti-submarine warfare exercises, right? Some of the ships like frigates have a sonar where they'll do anti-submarine, they can do surface to surface, they can do surface to air. So the complement will be more. So depending on what is the class of ship and what it can do, the complement of the ship varies. So yeah.
You have been you were a gunnery officer as well, if I'm correct.
Very briefly, but my first appointment was as a navigating officer, as an operational officer on board a RE. That's a missile corvette called INS Nirghat. That was where I started out from. And then I went on to become an executive officer on board a water jet fast attack craft. And then briefly I was there in a POV. So that was a offshore platform vessel. But even in the training time, I have been on board the aircraft carrier. I have been on board the destroyer. I have been on board tanker. So almost the first 6 years, ma'am. So I want to bring this out also. Many people ask, hey, what is like Navy life like? They say, hey, are you 6 months in shore, 6 months sailing, which is generally what they have perceived in the merchant Navy.
Yeah.
But in the Navy, if you are a general service officer, your bread and butter, your job is on board a ship. So we go from one ship to another. Our postings come from one ship to another. And for the first 6 years of my service in Navy, I was posted from one ship to another.
Okay.
So for 6 years, I was I was with one or the other ship. And one more thing which I want to bring about is, in the Navy, if you are a general service officer and you're posted on board a ship, till you get married, you're not given any base accommodation.
Oh, so your ship is your home.
Ship is your home. So you get your bunk, you get your mess, you get your like a 6 feet by 2 feet bunk, you get a small locker. That's where you are. Whenever you're exercising, you go out at sea, you do the exercises, come back. Whenever the ship is docked, from morning to evening, there'll be administrative activities, maintenance activities, etc. Evening, we go out and then we come back and we sleep in the ship itself. Our mess is there, our officers' mess is there. So we eat, dine, everything on board a ship. So for us, a ship becomes like a mother. So that affinity towards, especially with the in-living officers, they will always say, they'll vouch for that, times when they were in-living. When you say in-living, I say like not married and in-living on a ship. And they'll literally recount numerous their experiences from that time.
So I'm sure you mentioned that you literally live, and you also said that you go out. What do I understand? Like when you're posted to a ship, as you said, the ship docks at a place, morning you'll have some activities, evening you have, then you go out, you come back. So it is always docked. It would be sailing also, correct?
Correct.
And that is a regular feature. How regularly do you all go sailing, and how regularly do you all anchor in?
Place. Okay. So a ship is always having a base port, right?
Okay.
Base port means वो अगर कहीं पे भी जाके एक्सरसाइज करेगा, वापस आके when it has to replenish, do some administrative work, maintenance work, वो जगह पे आएगा, right? Now when you're posted on board a ship, right, your exercises, like you have to, ma'am, we are not always there at war, but we have a lot of exercises that prepare us for the war, right? So these exercises over the period have just increased because of the nature of the adversaries we have. So if you say what is the number of days that you will be at sea, in 365 days there is ships which have done around 250, 280 days at sea. So depending on the ship and the exercise, you are there at sea. And that's what I want to kind of emphasize on. Because when we are posted, we do not have the luxuries of going back home, being with family. We do not have luxury of having an internet when we go out at sea. So we don't have internet, no connection, nothing at all. So we be out at sea for very prolonged duration. When we come back, probably we'll be staying there for a week. We'll do whatever is the maintenance which is required for the ship. And the next exercise come on and we move out. So, and it need not be that whenever we come back, we have to come back to the same base port. If I've gone up north, right, one ship has sailed out, say, from Mumbai, and it is going near to, say, Gulf of Aden or something like that. So the Djibouti mein, there is a port. So we have good relationship with that particular country. So we'll touch that port, do our whatever is our replenishment, etc., and then again sail out. 2 days. So you're always at sea. And if you're there in harbor also, it's not like ship ko tala mar diya aur ghar chale gaye. So even when we are there at sea, when we come back, there's something called as a duty watch. So the entire ship complement is divided into 3. So every day, one set stays on board so that in case of any eventualities, the ship is always floating, right?
Yes.
It's got its auxiliaries like the water, fireman pump, ACs, other things which are running. If there is any issues, there is fire on board, etc., there has to be a minimum crew to take care of that. So that's how duty watch is always there. So it's not like when we come back, everybody goes home. तो 3 दिन में एक बार मिलता है घर जाने के लिए. So that's a roster. So the depravities which the Indian Navy or like the services per se, when they do, when they when they get posted on board a ship, it's something which people don't generally see.
Exactly. We don't see, I'm sure what you said is so correct. We do not know much about the Navy. In fact, I'm so honored that you are here so that you can tell us so many things about the Navy. And I want through you, the audience, to know, what is the kind of selfless and service, not just that, the sacrifices which you all do. And even your family, like you said, 285 days in a year, you are literally sailing, and your mothership becomes your ship becomes your mess. You literally live there as long as you are a single officer. And so people should know the hardships you encounter, So what is in your entire service, Amshu, which is the maximum period you have been in the waters?
So maximum period has been around 45 days continuously at sea. That was during one exercise followed by patrolling of Gulf, which had happened when I was, I think, lieutenant or sub-lieutenant, if I'm recollecting. So, how it, so initially we have progressed through the years. So initially, the endurance at sea, how many days can your ship and the fleet, when I say the fleet, okay, one more thing, ma'am. In the Navy, we generally, when we are going for war fighting, it doesn't operate like a ship doesn't operate alone. Okay. It always operates as a fleet, meaning to say there will be one aircraft carrier, there might be 1 or 2 destroyers, there will be a frigate, then there will be a submarine which is operating with it, right? Then there will be an air element. It might be launched from the aircraft, or it can be like landward based where long range reconnaissance, maritime reconnaissance, like the PATI which happens. So we all operate together. So when we were doing this exercise, there was this tropical exercise. Tropics was what we were doing. This was like simulating a war situation. So we have 2 fleets in the Navy.
May I just ask you, what is tropics you mentioned?
So it's a name which is given for one of the exercises that we do. So what happens in that is we have the Eastern Fleet and the Western Fleet. So we do red and green. Like say one will be the enemy, one will be the force which was fighting against the enemy. So they'll create a situation, they'll give all the criterias and the entire 2 fleets will get deployed at sea. And we simulate the exercises similar to what we have in the warfare. Right from deployment to missile firing, to taking down those missiles, to hunting a submarine, launching of torpedoes, exactly similar to the war. So at that point of time, your ship's ability to stay out at sea, when I say sea, it shouldn't sea is very huge, very vast. And it's very difficult to identify like ship's position, right? So if you're able to also sustain at sea, like if you're a ship which has got a surface to surface, surface to air missiles, and if you're at the firing range of enemy port, say a Pakistan Gwadar port, right? If you're in that firing range, then you're always able to put that pressure on that person. Hey, this asset is there, and at any point of time I can direct it to attack. So your ability to be at sea has to be more. So when I joined the Navy, that was what they emphasized on, and we were trying to have that ability built into the Navy, and we were increasing that year over year. So for the 45 days, we were at sea itself, no touching harbor, nothing, right? We were just in some place doing the exercises, waiting for orders or giving some kind of feedback to the fleet ship, where the operations were being conducted, etc., planned, etc. And we were also kind of maneuvering ourselves to intercept enemy ships, hunt enemy submarines, etc. So that's how, to say longest time at sea. Now that exercise got completed, everybody thought we'll go back to our base port. Then another, orders came that, hey, your ship has been nominated for patrolling of Gulf. Oh. So you see,
back-to-back exercise.
Yeah. So we didn't touch back the base port, our family, wherever it is. So from there, directly we shifted to Strait of Hormuz, where we have this Somalian pirate activities, and we started doing our patrolling of Gulf over there. So it's very dynamic. It's not like this much amount of time you'll be at sea, this much amount of time you'll be at harbor. No, nothing at all. It is all about what is the priority for the nation and what is the tasking we get. So our duty is to be prepared for that.
I'm sure. So when you are selected for this, all Navy personnel, are they tested for seasickness, and has it ever been that seasickness का testing हो गया तो भी बंदा बाद में air से seasick हो गया, ऐसा cases हुआ है क्या? I'm sure.
Very good question. We do not, unfortunately, we do not have any test for seasickness.
Okay.
We have something called a concept called sea legs.
Sea
legs. So
legs, legs.
Yeah. So it's a term.
Okay.
So what happens is, invariably, ma'am, everyone will be seasick initially. Yeah. There are very few who will be not seasick right from the start, right? And when we are cadets, we are put on some. If you've seen Pirates of Caribbean, ma'am.
Yes.
You've seen those sailboats.
Yes.
So there are 2 sailboats like that in the Indian Navy also. It doesn't it doesn't go on propulsion. We have to hoist the sails, and then we have to navigate. So those sailboats have got masts. Like you've seen those Captain Jack Sparrow standing on a particular mast. Yeah. So we have those masts. So as cadets, we are posted on that for getting our sea legs. Why I'm telling that is, I'll tell you. So there is front mein there is mast, behind there is a mast, and there is these the mast will also have 3 particular horizontal beams, right? So the lowest one is called as course, gallant, T-gallant, right? And if you have to hoist the sails from this mast, you have to climb up with this mast. You have to literally pull and put the sails down. So it is it's very manually intensive.
Okay.
So cadets it's like a adventure sports, right? So as cadets, we go there, and depending on our height, we are placed in these masts. So the person who has got the maximum height is at the base. A little more shorter will be at the next. The shortest will be on the top. So whenever there is a ship, when you say seasickness, why do you have seasickness? The ship, depending on the waves, this is called as pitching, this is called as rolling, and this combination of the two, it's called as yaw, right? So when whenever there is a rolling or pitching, at the base, it might be say 4 degrees, right? But if you think that there is a stick, you get that. If it's a 5 degree, it will get amplified to probably 15 degrees on the top.
Correct. Oh.
So you're standing on the top of the mast and you're swaying all together. So
that's an endurance.
Yeah. So for 6 months, we have this kind of training which is built into us. So a general service officer generally get their sea legs with all these activities, and there are few tricks we also develop over a period of time. When you're too seasick, you go to the bridge. Bridge is the place where we command or control the entire activities of the ship, and you see the horizon. So generally you get balanced out. Your middle ear can balance it out. You don't eat much. Some people eat a lot. That way they are able to reduce the seasickness. So some of these tricks and trade we individually develop, but there is no test. There are people who are seasick, but invariably they are posted on ship. That's where I want to bring about the dedication part. When we are there at ship, it's just not like a cruise sailing, right? We're just not sailing. We're doing our operational exercises.
Yes.
Even if you're seasick, there'll be buckets. You go, you vomit, you come back, you do your work.
Oh my God, yeah.
Everything
no compromise on work.
Everything on a ship is, when you sail, it is hard. Even when you're dining, right? It's not stable. Even you're shaving, it's not stable. Nothing is stable. So in that, you'll have a constant, headache when it's too long a time. You will be probably pukish at some point of time. Nonetheless, you have to get the job done.
Yeah.
So that's the challenges which we have in the Navy.
Yes, it looks like very glamorous, but actually once you get into it, you realize, how difficult it is.
Yes.
It's sea roughness is something we all are familiar with, and as you mentioned, 15 degrees is quite a huge thing. And then does it cause any issue with the human functioning, bodily function? Does it affect or impact?
Nothing really, I don't think so. But when I told you about those long sailings, right? After the long sailings, when we used to come on board, like when you used to come to base, so initial 3-4 ghante, when you go to the land, you're not swaying anymore. So you sway, like when you go to the land, it happens like for 2-3 hours and then you get normalized. So that's fine. Not only that, when you said this, we were on board INS Sudarshini. We know an officer who had done a course with us, Commander Nikhil. He was the XO of the ship. I think it was Typhoon Bofa, if I'm not wrong. And we were sailing on the sailboat from Cebu to Manila or Manila to some other place. I'm not able to recollect. We were middle of the typhoon. And ye chota ship hai, man. It's hardly like 20 meters, I guess, maximum. And middle of the storm with sailboats, right? So ye ship hai, so this front is called as the forecastle. Front of the ship is called as the forecastle. This forecastle used to go in the water and scoop out water like this. And we are all cadets or on top of the deck, harness laga ke with the strong points. We used to put the harness, stand. And literally are till our knee, the water used to come. So when it's when you see like 15-foot waves or 10-foot waves, it's a different experience. And in that pitch dark night where you can see nothing, and then there's a flash of lightning and you can see like wave which can engulf you, that's where that personality is built, and that's where you are kind of eased into this role where you are exposed that these are the things that you will face and how you need to counter that. So it's just not about facing the adversaries, right? When you're facing the adversaries like the XO, he'll come and say, how do you navigate this? You're not supposed to take it head on. You have to take it on the bows. You're not supposed to take it on the waves on the side. It will topple the ship. What is your center of gravity? Where does the center of the gravity of the ship lie? So how do you navigate it accordingly? So these are the things we develop during our training phase and sea cadet phase.
And you said you get posted from one ship to another.
Yeah.
So each ship has its own uniqueness,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So how much time does it take to adapt to a new ship and the new ship scenario or the ecosystem? How much time does it take?
So basically we have our, one is our basic, training. Rightly said, each and every ship has its own unique things. So some of the functions like an electrical officer where he has to maintain those radars, equipments, ECM, like any kind of machines which we do, like firing systems, etc. It's all specialized. So he has something called a pre-command training, PCT. Okay. He goes for like 3 months in a...
Something like conversion course.
It's not a conversion, but in Navy it is before you go into a particular role. Some of the functions get a training that, hey, this is the system, these are the details. He'll go to the respective training center, he'll get trained and come out. In general service, unfortunately, we don't have that. When you're going as command of a ship, you get some PCT. But generally for specialization or going for gunnery officer and other things, you don't get. So once you land on the ship, you start developing that, you start learning about the systems, you start learning about the ship. And there are tests that you give on board a ship to, validate what you have learned and how much you know, because it's just not about the systems. It's also about, firefighting systems. What are there? How do you do the firefighting in every ship? So every young officer who is going to a new ship generally is not allowed to go out of the ship. Like I said, harbor mein rehta hai, to evening we go out and come back, bola tha na. So he's not allowed to do that till he finishes or he passes this test. He has to ensure that he knows each and every inch of the ship, systems thorough, and then he has to pass the test and then go out. You also asked me, like, how does it work out? When do you go out? When do you come back? And what do you do? So I talked about the sailing bit. Once we come back, so in living ka to bata diya aapko, there is nowhere else to go.
Ship hi aapka ghar hai.
So the people who have got married, the family who have got married accommodation. So evening they go back to their family and morning they come back. So that's how it works.
You mentioned about submarines. When a fleet goes, the submariners or submarine also goes along with you. That's a complete composition of a fleet along with. Does a submarine? So what I want to know is, say we have had a threat from. It is a complete unexpected. Obviously, it is an unexpected threat from Pakistan. How much time do you all take to mobilize? Say, now you've been told that situation is bad, and they have come to a point where they've invaded RC or etc. How much time Navy takes to respond? Okay. Or do you all anchor yourself in different strategic places in the sea always, so that in case of any kind of attack, you are there and you don't waste time? How does it happen?
So every day there is. So it's a good question. I want to break this down a little bit. So what happens is in the headquarters level, based on various intelligence which you get, we are always mapping the belligerent forces force level. कि पाकिस्तान अगर आज जंग छेड़ेगा तो उसके पास कितने युद्धतोप है, like what are the assets he has, how many assets are there in repair, how many assets are already deployed, say he's also doing some activity, some exercise somewhere, how many are there in which port, right? This is the force level of the enemy. Depending on that, we already preemptively have a lot of deployment already.
Okay.
Right? So every day this is happening in the headquarters, where force level, our own force level, the enemy's force level, we map and we know how we have to posture ourselves or deploy our assets. That's during regular. But of course, when the hostilities break out, if you have to say like our Western fleet is at Mumbai, generally most of it is in Mumbai, Karwar, etc. It'll take probably a day to reach wherever we want to reach.
But you all will have your first responders close to the enemy water area, sea area?
So there is nothing called so each and every ship has got a particular role. When we say first responders, yes, we have like I told, I was a navigating officer on the missile corvette, right? That missile corvette was always placed, one missile corvette was always placed at international maritime boundary line between India and Pakistan. So this is an imaginary line which is agreed upon by both the nations, and we patrol that area with our armament. So I had 4 combat missiles ready to go, state 1 deployed in that area, right? So those, you might say, is the first responders. With respect to submarines, probably a destroyer or a frigate will have around maximum, like the top knot speed will be 30-35 knots, if not more. A submarine will have, cannot traverse in that speed, right? So you will need to deploy your submarine assets well in advance, so that submarine is like a silent force. Nobody should know where it is. And it should carry out its mission with utmost secrecy, right? So you will deploy the submarines first hand, like a week before. And it will take its strategic position somewhere, wherever it needs to be. And then it will stay silent over there. And whenever hostilities break out, we communicate to they already know, but we also communicate to the submarines that what they need to undertake, and they go and undertake it. Not only during hostilities, submarines also have a lot of int gathering missions during peacetime. Suppose say ये पाकिस्तान है, पाकिस्तान के 12 nautical miles, 1 nautical mile is 1.8 kilometers around, right? So 12 nautical mile tak is your territorial waters. So a submarine goes to what extent it goes, let's keep that aside. So the seabed is there, it'll land on the seabed, okay, and probably it'll put out one of its receivers to the ocean, like the sea surface, and it'll carry out electronic intelligence gathering. It'll, like say if you are in Karachi harbor, if your aircraft takes off, then it has its signatures, electronic signatures, which goes on. Communication happens between the aircraft and the ATC. What are the communication channels which happen? Suppose say a aircraft opens its fire radars, right? So what are those frequencies? It will collect and it will again come back to the Indian side, and we'll collect all this data. So there is a lot of exercises or the operations that the submarine undertakes even at peacetime. Also, submarines are just not that. You have heard about second strike capability?
No.
So second strike capability is India is a nuclear nation.
Correct.
So this nukes and missiles we can launch from the land. Suppose say that all those launch facilities or lands are compromised or hit. Then where do we launch our nuclear assets from?
Submarine.
Yes. So we have 2 nuclear class submarines. These are called the Arihant class, which can launch a nuke tipped missile from the submarine. So you already deployed it somewhere in waters. Your land assets are gone, but you can still launch it from the sea. As a matter of fact, even the Air Force can launch like the BrahMos missile. So the whole point of BrahMos missile was that it's now the secondary strike capable is both at land, in water, under the water, and at sea, air.
All
so,
4.
Yes. So that's how we have our capabilities in the submarine.
Submariner's life is very tough. No? If a submarine sails, how many days does it take? Does it stay in the sea?
Yeah. So with respect to toughness, this is on my own perception. All due. I feel the toughest, I think, is I would say the sea divers, deep sea divers. The second toughest, I think, is the submariners. The third toughest is the surface arm. So in submarine, right now we have the EKM, SSK. I think some of them have decommissioned, which were the Russian class submarine. Now there is Scorpion class submarines and there is nuclear powered submarines. So in subs, everything is cramped. So you don't have space.
Constricted.
Yes, and even the beds where you sleep, there are no beds for the entire crew. There's something called hot bunking. So I told you there are 3 watches,
Yes.
2 watches. So one watch is operating, another watch sleeps. So once they come, they need to vacate that bed, right? So, and also there is no availability of fresh water. So you get specialized clothes which you wear and you dispose. You don't have bath.
Okay.
There's no bath when you sail.
And what is the duration for which you submarine?
Here comes that part. So duration of the submarine, when you say conventional submarine, say there is generators, diesel generators. You on the diesel generators, you come to a surface level where it's called as periscopic depth. You launch a snout. You put the snout up. You run those diesel generators and you power up the battery. As soon as the battery is done, you bring down the snout and then you submerge. These are called conventional submarines. So this endurance, what you call, is based on the battery capacity. So each and every submarine will have its own capacity. Some will have 2 to 3 days. So 2 to 3 days, it has to come to a particular level, bring out its snout. It will not fully surface. It will be like 5 to 10 meters below the water. Put the snout up, recharge its batteries, again go down.
But you're still sailing, no?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sure.
we're all
So
sailing.
what I'm asking is, at a given time, what is the duration?
It
The crew will have to be in the submarine.
so the only limitation is your fuel
Yeah.
and food.
So human endurance, there is no limit tested.
At the first point I came to you, right?
Yeah.
The human endurance, any navy, the prolonged nature of, like, as much as they are able to be at sea, they are that much more potent. So we are trained to be at sea. So if you are
As
saying
long as possible.
as
The
long as
longer the
possible,
better.
Yes.
Oh,
So
God.
the human endurance aspect, we generally don't have that.
So we may be having in Navy cases where a submarine is sailing for months to end.
Months to end will not. I mean, that's a very extreme measure. But we generally don't tell that capability to be at sea dependent on the human.
That is not
endurance.
a limitation.
That's not a limitation. So fuel and ration is the only two limitation. That also we can get it, like, say, replenished. So in this aspect, say a nuclear submarine, right? The fuel is inside the submarine itself. It's a nuclear reactor, right? So there is no dearth of fuel.
It keeps it.
It just keeps. It doesn't have to come to even periscopic depth. It'll just be submerged for prolonged duration. Only thing is food is the limitation. Food also at this point of time, like, we've advanced so much that we have those ready-to-made food, etc., etc. So we are.
But how long will human beings live on that ready-to-eat food? I'm sure. Means it somewhere takes a toll, right? So I wanted to know what is, like, generally, do you put a limit that say 30 days? Hey, you all have to come.
So I know where this is coming from. Probably in the Air Force you have those limitations in the flying where you have limiting hours. In the Navy we don't have that.
Oh, okay.
So, and if we have also, we'll not declare it.
Okay.
Because if you say that, it is like admitting that, hey, you're limited by so much days, right? अगर आपके enemy को पता चल रहा है कि आपका स्कॉर्पियन क्लास है, तो आपका स्कॉर्पियन क्लास 2 स्कॉर्पियन क्लास मंडे को गया है 1st of December, then the enemy knows that, hey, 38 it's only 30 days. 30 days में इसका maximum speed होगा शायद 5 knots 6 knots. उसमें से कितना एक distance cover करेगा. He'll make a triangle or he'll make a square, and he'll know that, hey, the submarine is there in only this particular region, and then he'll deploy his submarine hunting assets in that area. We also do that, right? Yeah. So we don't define that limitation based on the human endurance factor. Our job is to overcome that.
No, is there a way in which the crew is rotated? I mean, I just want to ask, I don't know whether, see, in a submarine, somebody is dangerously ill. It can happen, right? So the person has to be evacuated. Now the submarine is, say, in the middle of the sea. So what the airlifted?
So we have CASEVAC.
Yeah,
we airlift it, or the ships can go and do the CASEVAC also. They'll come to the surface. So we have airlift capability, and also ships which have got some of the ships also have operating theaters on board. Your tankers, generally aircraft carriers, have even dental clinic on board.
Has to be, obviously.
Yeah, so we take such kind of emergencies into these kind of platforms. If it is still severe and he has to be brought back to the base, then we do CASEVAC through air and come back. So there's no concern with respect to those.
And is there a chance of rotating the crew also through this mean? No, it's not.
No, we don't do that.
They have to stay put.
And also, submarine is a volunteering arm.
Yeah.
You don't get posted. You need to opt for it. And when you are opting for it, these are the challenges that are there. So anyone who is going into the submarine arm knows these challenges, and it's gradually built into them as to how to adapt and survive in that duration.
It's a very, very tough job, I must say.
It is extremely tough. When they're doing that, there is and any submarine which is going to these operations which are not during the wartime also, right? They are invariably going to a place where if they are detected, then it is like an act of war. If you're submerged and you're detected at a place where you're not supposed to be, like in the territorial waters, etc. And then I said cramped spaces, that comes into play. Like you said, human endurance, you don't have windows, you don't have nothing. It's just like a tube there inside. That's it.
And is there an age limit to volunteer for as a submariner?
So a submariner, basically we volunteer when we finish our initial ab initio training and sub courses. So that's generally like say 1.5 years into your service. So maybe you will come into service by 21. So 22, 23, 24 is the age where you try to opt for the submarine arm. And then you continue in the service till you're there in the Navy. But when you're going to say a nuclear submarine, there are some criterias which people try to have. Generally people who have already got their kids, they're put into the submarine, like nuclear powered submarine, in case there is a radiation fallout or something like that.
Okay.
So they do cater for those, but it's not a hard block per se, or it's not a blocker. You can opt, like once you're there in the submarine arm, you can get posted to any of the submarines basically.
So it's a very, not just is it from life wise dangerous, but even health wise it's hazardous.
That is the
challenge.
Challenge, and it is.
Why would anybody volunteer, Amshu, for this? Then see, I'm sorry, I may be coming from a space of complete ignorance. When it comes to special forces, I've hosted a special force officer. The way he goes about telling me the exercise which they undergo, the training. With the end of it, they get to do what they are trained for, like they undertake missions. They are able to encounter insurgency. They get a kill, and they feel like okay, whatever I've been trained for, I've got it. So as a submariner, conventional war we have not fought since long. So just being in that constricted space without getting a flavor of the mission, how does a submariner stay motivated?
I'll bust this myth of not going into the war.
Yes, you must.
So ultimately, like two aspects. One is your passion, and there is some other aspect of, you have hard-laying allowances which comes once you go into the submarine. Not with officers, with men. When I say sailors, we have that aspect also, where they get a little more allowances. But notwithstanding, I'll tell you the thrill which we get, right? When we do missile firing, when we acquire a target. So when I was a navigating officer, we had something called PMF, position missile firing. Position missile firing is when I told you, right, there was this exercise which was going on. We need to simulate war. So there'll be a fleet of ships which are there at certain distance. You will be at a ship here. You will launch a missile. He has to take it down.
Okay.
And this missile will go on top of that particular ships. If at all that is missed, right? And if there is a misdirection or the programming of the missile goes haywire, there are risk of it hitting the ship also.
Absolutely.
The competency of the ship towards which you are hitting is, it has to take down that missile. It is surface to air.
Neutralize
so he is doing his capability. If you have to do this firing, you have to come to this place. You have to have a heading at that particular direction. You have to launch at a particular time. If your ship heading is also like shifted by 1 degree, at some distance it'll just go fully off. So the entire crew will just rally on one and only one purpose, that is missile firing. And this ship, the entire crew will just rally on one activity, that is bring down that missile. And when that missile launches, ship hilta hai, ma'am, it's like full ship goes on, like ऐसा लगता है कि you're like getting
something like a tank when it
tank is just like probably few seconds, right? This missile is like for good 30 seconds, 40 seconds vibrates. And that excitement which you get when you launch or when you take down a missile is it's something which you have to experience, right? Everyone is just working towards that, and we are training, we are having those exercises, we are doing those simulations for 3-4 days, 1 week prior to that, etc. For a submariner, during peacetime, I said this electronic warfare, he also detects the enemy submarine. So what happens is, when you are doing when you have to identify a submarine has to identify a ship, right? So there are a couple of things which they do. So one is cavitation. So the propellers are there. One propeller will make some kind of sound. Two propellers will make some kind of sound. The rotational speed makes some kind of sound. The magnetic signature of the ship is basically all steel, and you have Earth, which is a huge magnet, and it is going in that magnetic sphere. So it will have a magnetic signature. So that signature is like your fingerprint. So if that signature is there, I'll say, oh, this is PNS Babar, which is going here.
Okay.
Right? So that's
also, how they identify.
Yes. So they are down below. The ship, enemy ship is actually going on top, and they're able to catch that. And this guy is silent. Like, bhai, tera pura ka pura data mere paas hai.
Okay.
That thrill.
That is the aspect of it. But other than that is also like they are supposed to fire.
Yeah.
So do they get that thrill as well?
Yes. When we do go to the exercises, right? There is like, ek to torpedo firing, which is their bread and butter, right? There are insertions which happen through, our submarines also. Like the special forces are launched through submarine. Yeah. With the torpedo tubes, right? That's also something that they do. So when we do these exercises, right, they do launch torpedoes from the, submarines. And when we are doing, like, there'll be a target ship kind of thing, which somewhere over there. When they launch those missiles, they will exactly do what they're doing at war, right? They'll program that.
So even does the submarine also shake? I don't know how logical
because I'm not a submariner.
Okay, got it.
So I don't know what is the aspect, how they'll feel it inside. But I'm assuming that there will be some kind of, it's like when it might not be so much because the torpedo is pushed out of the torpedo tube using pressurized air. There's no combustion which is happening. Once it is out, then there are propellers in the torpedo which propels the torpedo. There are fins in the torpedo back which will give it elevation, angle, which side it has to go. The front of the torpedo will have a sonar, dome where it is kind of pinging the waves out, like the sonar waves out. It will hit a particular object, come back, it will sense where the target is. Some things might even be not sonar, it will just be like cavitation. Like when a ship goes, behind there will be a wake. So it will home onto that wake. Some are proximity, they'll have an explosion when they're going into the proximity. So I told you this magnetic signature, that will be programmed into that torpedo. And when it goes near to that particular signature, it will explode. So those things are what the submariners do day in and day out. That's what their bread and butter is.
So it's, you mean to say, even during peacetime, they get this thrilling missions they do, and that keeps them motivated.
Yes. And second thing is, it's unforgiving, right? It's challenging even being on the surface ship, but you're floating. Unless until you're hit and there is ingress of water or fire, you're still floating, right? In a submarine, suppose your propulsion goes off, you're going down, right? And there is a pressure, threshold for the hull. If you go below that, you'll just get crushed. And if there is, like, say, any kind of fire or ingress of water or whatever, it's a life and death situation for them, right?
So submarine also sails at a particular level, right? It is some 10 meters or below?
No, nothing. Again, these are like specs with each of the submarines. Okay. Periscopic depth is generally 5 meters or 10 meters from the sea surface. So the submarines generally operate well below like 10 meters also.
Below 10 also?
Yeah. So generally the hull, I would say 40 meters, 50 meters, they do go.
But you mentioned that, they go in and sit on the seabed. Yeah. So if it is and international water, that area, so that would be how deep?
No, not international water, but say for example, so again, Navy is a very technical service. Okay. So even the seabed will not be the same throughout, right?
Of course.
So there will be gradients, right? So this is the water level. Somewhere it will be near the seabed will be higher. Will be higher. Somewhere the seabed will be almost 10 kilometers down. If it's 10 kilometers down, they don't go and sit on it. But somewhere when you're going near to a beach area, so there the gradient will come up, right? So at that point of time, you might be at 10 meters, 20 meters.
Higher.
We'll go and if there is a soft bed, and you can go and sit on that soft bed.
How low can a submarine go? I mean,
again, depends on the class of submarine, the shell which is there. Generally, they can go up to 50 meters depth.
50?
Yeah. Hull is pressurized, right? It is same way pressurized as you would have in the normal atmosphere. And also, like the whole, I don't think so. Inside the pressurized hull, there is acclimatization that is like rudimentary. They are able to go down and up. That's why they maintain that pressure inside the hull.
Yet it would not be like, it wouldn't be that a normal person can just go and is it like
Normal
it's just like
person
an aircraft which goes so high?
Like a medical way, what we do is things which can come into play is your middle ear, whether they are able to sustain the pressure and all. So those aspects they do check during the medical of when you're volunteering for a submarine arm, and if there is a blockage or something like that, you're not allowed to go to a submarine arm if you're not able to get that thing. So that way, yes, they do have certain like aspects of fitness which goes in when you dive. But exactly, I mean, for divers, I know that there is they are just in a suit, which is pressurized suit, and they go into a particular depth, right? And there's no like a pressurized hull per se, which is taking them down and getting them up. So for them, the acclimatization is like extremely crucial. There's no pressurized hull. But for submarines, they're already there in the pressurized hull. It's as if like you and me are sitting here.
Got it. There's something like an aircraft and it flies. Yeah. And have you had a case of where a submarine has blasted or something like this? Have you had cases? Because of some technical glitch or?
Unfortunately, we have had cases. We've had cases in Indian Navy itself.
Oh.
Not at sea. Unfortunately, we lost a submarine at harbor.
Oh.
So that's what I said, right? Everything in a submarine is so complex. The batteries which are charged, they also have some gases which come out, which are extremely toxic. So this happened in Mumbai, where I think the batteries were getting charged with a DG. Something went off and there was an explosion in the submarine. So the submarine went down, taking a couple of lives at that point of time. I think it was 2014-13. We've had that case. Internationally, where we've had cases where there was, I think it was a US submarine, I'm not able to recollect the name, but it was a nuclear power submarine where the front of the submarine got damaged. And he was able to sail that submarine to safety also. So we've got those also. We've got cases where, like the recent event where this billionaire went into a submarine to do the Titanic exploration or something like that. So there have been these, companies which have come up with these kind of exploratory submarines also. So where they went and that hull collapsed and nobody survived. So we've been having various cases, but in Indian Navy per se, I don't think so. I don't recollect something at sea where there was damage per se. But we have lost a couple of submarines at harbor, because of the nature of the complexity of the systems which are there on board.
I'm sure you mentioned about that one of the roles of Navy is anti-piracy. How are we trained and what is our role? If you can specify that, explain it a bit.
Sure, ma'am. So in the Indian Navy, in the Indian Ocean context, when I say Indian Ocean, that's the Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, and little bit extremities. If you say India, in the western side, you have Gulf of Aden, and then we have Strait of Hormuz, that is the Suez Canal, that's coming out over there. So in this region, we are the net security providers, right? We are the strongest navy that is present over here, and our reach is good. We have good number of assets. Now, what does that mean? What does net security providers mean? So you have, if you see the map, ma'am, there is a Suez Canal. Uske baad Strait of Hormuz aata hai. Strait of Hormuz ke aane ke baad, then it goes, there's something called sea lines of communication, which is called as SLOCs. SLOCs means from point A to point B in the landward side, there is a line, there's a straight line. So all the merchant vessels go in that line itself. They will not go randomly because fuel consumption zyada hota hai, and this is the nearest path. So they have highest merchant traffic in this level. And if you go a little up, Gulf of Aden, जो आपका Iran, Iraq होता है, उसके नीचे आते ही you will have like your Yemen आता है आपके पास. Okay, so ये area, it's conflict. There is a lot of conflict in this place, and in Yemen you have the pirates. Then now you have the Houthi rebels also over there. So what happens is these places are the places where Suez se to all the South Asian countries get most of their goods, oil from that place, and even from Gulf of Aden, entire your oil and your energy comes from that place. So these all comes from merchant vessels, not only for your country, for other countries, for China, for Indonesia, for Australia, and all your other Asian countries like your Singapore, etc. So these ships have to be safeguarded. So the modus operandi of a pirate is that they'll come in small vessels like power boats. They have a rocket launcher. They'll launch rocket launchers across the bows of the, like if there's a water oil tanker, okay, highly inflammable, वो launch करेगा तो वो captain of the ship उसको रोक देगा या slow down करेगा. So once they do, the pirates put the hook on the vessel, they climb on top and they commandeer that vessel. They start commandeering that vessel. उनका सारा जो crew होता है उनको, like they take them hostage, and then they start asking for ransoms. You give us so and so thing and we'll give it to you. So to prevent this, what has happened is there is something called patrolling of Gulf, which the Navy and the other international navies also undertake. We being the net providers, we are the major players over there. हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हमारा एक frigate है which has got extensive firepower. आपका जो जो pirate vessel है वो जैसे ही warship देखेगा, it will not even come close.
Okay.
So what happens is we have timed like we'll say that, hey, this point of time, from this point of place, there will be, say, INS Vishakhapatnam or INS Kolkata, which will be present at this place, and the warship will be at the front, and पीछे सारा का सारा merchant vessels line up होता है. So first अपना warship जाता है, उसके पीछे पीछे merchant vessels आता है. So we become the net security providers when the ships, merchant vessels are transiting through this place.
Every time they transit, we shepherd them?
Yeah, so it's not only our ship, there are like a lot of other international warships also. So since all of our economies have our merchant vessels transition from this place, so we have made a coalition. So हमारा एक या दो ships हमेशा यहाँ पे they do this patrolling. So whenever there is this conflict, intelligence आता है कि ये area में ज़्यादा sightings हुआ है या ये area में we have had some incidences, then our warships go there and we start doing patrolling, and we do this escorting also. So when we do that, our ship is in the front, rest of the merchant ships are there, and then we go ahead. Not only that, in the POG we had like cases where we have rescued, like recently I think in 2024 there was a merchant vessel which was Houthis ne usko they had launched some rocket launchers over there. It was damaged, and then our Marcos and our warship went there and they rescued the ship's crew. And you know what is the best part, ma'am? 17 of them were Pakistani nationals. Of the crew.
Okay.
So it's a lot of humanitarian aid also which goes into that place. When we go there, we don't see it's an Indian ship or a Panama ship or etc. So we have this role. It's a very international role. We need to be aware of geopolitical strategies. How when we do that, India is seen as the net security provider. We are seen as a major contender in that region. And we are respected in that region, right? So this is what patrolling of Gulf generally is. And not only that, we also had another, this operation very near to me. In 2014-15, we had this Yemen crisis, ma'am. In Yemen, there was a crisis where the ruler was toppled and there was Houthis who took over. And then the Saudis were bombarding that place because they did not want Houthis to take over. This caused a lot of refugees in that area to, they had to be evacuated. हम लोग गाजा के ऊपर बात करते हैं, हम लोग उधर पे refugees के ऊपर बात करते हैं. But we have gone to that area where bombarding was happening, and INS Sumitra went to Port of Aden, got alongside. There was a crew which went down, bought around 200, 250 people on board, and then came back. And when we got the 250, 300 people on board, we are not asking them which country they are from. They were from everywhere: Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India. As a matter of fact, I think this was the biggest evacuation that Indian Triforces undertook. It was not only the Navy, the Air Force also undertook this. I think there are around 5,000 refugees that we rescued from this place. So when somebody talks about, going to Gaza and, aiding to some refugees over there, we have actually done that. So that's the role which the Navy also plays in non-combat role, right? So this is something is with POG and that area which is there, which is inflicted with rebels and this pirates basically.
The most sensitive or piracy prone area is Somalia, they say, that area.
Correct. So Somalia basically क्या होता है उधर पे, because of the economic reasons etc. Their fishing zones are completely trash. They don't get much of catch over there. The economy is not there. So the people over there have resorted to this attacking, commandeering, and then taking the ransom. So that's why that area is more prone to this piracy.
So we always have a ship escorting the merchant ship. Is always, every day there is a ship.
Generally, there is like these slots which come in. So, but nonetheless, there is always a warship in that area which is ready to respond.
So why despite them knowing that we are so protected, like that sea area is, why do pirates?
It is huge, right? Say we have a schedule of escort on that particular day. Couple of merchant ships came off. There was another merchant ship. Merchant ship ke liye, the schedule is everything for them because it costs money, right?
Absolutely.
If they lose out one day to reach their port of call, then it causes money for them.
Absolutely.
So they will start transitioning to that place, and they are not equipped to have that much of intelligence as a warship might have, right? From different places. So there are there will be chances where the pirates will also want to take that chance. Okay, theek hai, ye mil gaya, to they'll see the flag of the ship.
Okay.
Where the flag has been registered, like Houthis right now are all targeting like the Western country flagships.
Correct.
Right. So they'll target that specific region. So ye geopolitically bhi motivated hota hai. Houthis will start targeting the ships that the nation, like ek ship ka ek flagship, like wherever it is registered, agar wo country is in support of Israel, and Houthis will attack it.
Correct.
Right. So those aspects are also there, which we need to be very aware of. And the landscape, it's like needle in the haystack. So it's too huge. So you can't be there every time. But this is what we do as net security providers. And if you Google it also, you will see like these incidents are there throughout the year. Some or the other pirates activities are kind of foiled by the Indian Navy.
And what does the sea divers do, Amshu, in the Indian Navy? You mentioned they have उनका क्या काम? So Marcos जैसा role है क्या उनका?
Initially, थोड़ा broader term, there is something called clearance divers and there are ship divers. Clearance divers का काम है कि वो they go at beyond 50 meter and then carry out salvage operation. They might also undertake sabotage operation like limpet mine, like mines hota hai. Mines ko lay karna, mines ko diffuse karna, right? All these things, sea mines ko diffuse karna, unka kaam hai.
तो वो कितनी नीचे जाते हैं?
So that's what I'm saying, right? They go below 50 meters. So for that they go in with the pressurized chambers, and suppose say आपको एक seabed में suppose there is a pipeline which needs to be like sort of repaired or something like that. उसके लिए भी clearance divers जाते हैं. If that job is also for like 10-15 minutes, they have to go into that pressurized chamber for a day or two, and it's like a small chamber in which they stay, and they come out and they have to dive and they'll do that job again. They'll come back and they'll stay in that pressurized chamber, decompress for another 3 days. It's extremely tough. You have to be mentally very, 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 very agile.
And so if you have to do a mission, say there's a repair or anything, it takes some 10-12 days to eventually reach the target.
So reaching the target might be easier, right?
Okay.
But that preparation for that, compression, decompression, आप इतना छोटा सा जगह में you're staying there. And also when you're going down also, it's not like you'll go directly down. So you'll go to like stage wise, you will go, to the depths because आपका, I don't know what is the exact technical term. There's something like nitrogen gas in your body. Those get bubbled up in your head, right? So that's called fits and like checks and bends करके आता है वो एक चीज़. So in order to avoid that also they descend very slowly. So it's a very technical job, a very hazardous job which they do. I have highest of respect for clearance divers.
So the clearance divers, as say they have to go 50 meters is their target.
Yeah.
They have to go, how many days they take because of this?
I am not totally aware of the exact
approximately.
numbers. Approximately, I'm assuming that a day or 2 or 3 might go into like pressurization where they go in from that atmospheric pressure to the pressure they have at that particular, डेप्थ. उसको धीरे धीरे उनको क्लैम्टाइज होना पड़ेगा. उसके बाद वो जैकेट इज लाइक फुल लाइक द प्रेशराइज्ड जैकेट्स दे वेयर एंड देन दे गो इन स्लोली एंड दे डू दैट एक्टिविटी. एंड इवन इन दैट एक्टिविटी ऑल्सो इट्स नॉट लाइक स्कूबा डाइविंग वेर यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ लाइट फिशेस एवरीवेयर एंड ऑल. It's just dark, right? After 15 meters, 20 meters, it's just dark. Ocean is just dark. You don't have any visibility over there, right? So in that place where they go and do those work, it's very, very, challenging. Another one is called ship divers. SDs करके आता है. जो ship divers generally हमारा जो underneath of the hull, ठीक है, there might be some propeller में कुछ nets फंसे होंगे. Sometimes if you're going into enemy, if your ship is there at a place at a long time, कोई आके enemy वाला मार्को आके या उनका जो special operation है वो आके mine लगा के चला जाएगा. So you have to clear that mine. So उनके लिए भी we do the अपना जो हल है तो हल का पूरा इंस्पेक्शन करते हैं वो लोग.
तो अपना हल से फ्रॉम दिस हाउ डीप इज इट फ्रॉम?
हल इज जस्ट अप बिलो द वाटर सरफेस, राइट? द शिप्स हल इज जस्ट बिलो द वाटर.
सो व्हाई इज इट कंसीडर्ड अ वेरी
no, ship diving, SD diving is relatively
comparatively
easier than the clearance
sea
diving.
Yeah. This is so they okay. So how often do they go this
sea dive
ship divers?
Ship divers, they have like, I think if I'm not mistaken, almost fortnightly they do the ship diving, or after each and every sailing.
So they can put some IED and mines on the ship. That is possible.
That is possible.
Without our radars and all are not noticing.
आप जहाज अगर रुका हुआ है कहीं पे, right? आप radars on नहीं रखते हो those time. You don't switch on the radars when the ship is at harbor. It's like it's at it's supposed to be a safe harbor, but usme we also do this. This is called special operation. Marco jo karte hai, they have chariot vehicles or something like that. When they can go from place A to place B, like considerable amount of distance, they'll be underwater. They'll come, they'll place the mines, and they'll go back. Right. So how do you detect it? You have to do that clearance, right? So before every sailing, or after coming back from sailing, ship diving होता ही होता है. SDs, they do undertake that.
Okay, to see whether it is.
Yep. We don't find mines all the time, but that's one of the aspects they check for.
You have to be careful, then be sorry. Yeah. Obviously, that's I didn't know there is a thing like this. I'm sure very interesting. In your entire service career, do you have do you remember any very eventful exercise which you undertook, and you want to share that with us?
2 incidences which I have, actually couple of them, but I'll take 2. One was when I was XO of the Waterjet FSE. We were
what is that?
Waterjet FSE is fast attack craft.
Okay.
So basically these are the ships that have got waterjet propulsions, and they have higher speed, smaller aircraft, higher speed. So I was second in command, and we were deployed on the eastern board, that's the Bay of Bengal, and we were deployed over there. We were doing our patrolling, and we got our intelligence that एक फिशिंग बोट में ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग हो रहा है करके. And we had general area where they were operating, and it was supposed to transit from place A to place B. So we got crewed up. My VBSS team, visit board search and seizure करके एक टीम होता है जो अगर आपको एक जहाज मिला उसको ऊपर जाके उसको सर्च कंडक्ट करके then you have to you have to inspect it. That's called visit, board, search, seizure. So वो team got crewed up, and then the whole night we started scouting for this particular fishing boat in that area. It was night. Sea was rough. When sea is rough, आपका radars इतना accurate होते हैं, but always there is a chance that you will not identify that fishing boat, or if it identifies the distance between your ship and that, it is not easy to kind of locate it, right? So it was very choppy waters, and throughout the night we were getting a blip, but we are not able to sight that. It's pitch dark, right? And then we are going near to it, we are not finding it. It's just a blip. Again, it is vanishing. So in the wee hours of the morning...
Which year was this?
This was 2016.
Month?
Not sure.
Okay.
Month, I think, sometime in the time of October.
October, so
Yeah,
around
July,
winter
October.
time.
July, October, October, November, because that's when I think is the monsoons which were there that time. So I remember the choppy waters. So subah, like daybreak hone wala tha. So we got our night vision cameras on, we started scouting, and we could find a particular vessel at that place.
Scouting, how it's visually
we were doing it,
doing
right?
it,
Because
okay.
radar mein aa nahi raha tha, so we were starting to do visual thing. Like agar night vision laga ke aapka ek light bhi jala hua hai jahaj mein, the opposite jahaj, then you kind of know, okay, this is the one. Then we take the bearing and we know that that place is there. So when we were able to do that, in the morning we were able to sight that ship, and when we were going near, right? This is a fishing
morning
boat.
means at that time it was dawn.
It was not dawn, it was daybreak. Like it was just like
Twilight.
Sunrise, twilight. So when we started looking into the binoculars, there were people on board that fishing vessel. There were people with like arms in that vessel. And everyone, I mean, I don't know, I'm like, everyone who has joined the service will want to have action.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is waiting for that time when he will be able to kind of get into that action.
Haath garam
Young blood, was like, okay, theek hai, mil gaya. Ab to, today is something which, So, and on board a ship to encounter this kind of things, we have like LMGs, MMGs fitted on board like the ship, right? So I got my broadside, like, crewed on that, and then I told them, like, take aim at that particular vessel. Please wait. Do not engage. Right? Cocked, ready. हमारा VBSS नीचे गया, ठीक है? And they had a rib, like एक छोटा सा.
Your crew went down.
Crew को एक छोटा सा बोट रहता है ship में, rubber dinghy जैसा. उसमें motorized boat होता है. उसमें बैठ के they went near that ship, right? पीछे से. It was not आगे. पीछे से. And it's way, it's very early in the morning. We are around a nautical and 2 nautical miles like apart from that. So you won't be able to hear also. So they went very closely to that ship. They boarded the back of that ship. And I'm able to see in this binoculars, right? And then I see this, like arms. And I was shot that, bhai, these are the people who we want. Let's like, soften them. Let's fire across the bows. Hit hoga, फिर भी देखा जाएगा, because we have intelligence. दिख रहा है. No, what more?
They armed, huh?
Ma'am, I don't know what. Okay, there was one petty officer. He just said, "Saab, ruk jao."
Okay.
I'm like, why? Like, nahi saab, we'll not do anything. Ruk jao. Like, दिख रहा है भाई वो उधर पे वो चले जाएंगे, and our people are also boarding that to visit. Why? So I said, sir, मेरा मन नहीं, I mean, मेरा मन बोल रहा है कि ये they are not the culprits.
They're friendly.
Yeah, they're friendly. I'm like, are you lost your mind? That I've seen a sailboat, you have seen like people with arms. What are you talking? For some strange reason, I just like didn't order anything. Okay, my people went on board. They were on board the ship, and then there's a way that you kind of do the search and seizure.
Drill
होता है. तो उस time में all those people, they dropped their weapons and they said, we are from Marine Police.
Oh my God, Amshu.
Okay. And they said they also got the same intelligence.
Oh, wow. And they are also
and they are also there in the same place. Since Marine Police doesn't have like ships, उन्होंने बोला कि भाई एक fishing vessel है, तुम like we'll take this for this activity करके उन्होंने they had come in the morning. So this is something,
God.
and you, I mean,
Hats off to that petty officer
yeah,
for his
and-
intuition.
yeah, and this is exactly where I want to come, right? ये सब हुआ, I was severely like, dejected that bhai action nahi hua. And then CEO came up with all this, he was in his chambers, then he came up to the bridge and he started asking what happened, everything. So brief kiya and everything, and I got really frustrated and went down to my cabin and I was like, I was really upset. Then I called this fellow. I'm like, why did you feel this? This guy is like chief petty officer banne wala tha, 15 years around service, has been in so many of these anti-piracy operations, etc. And he is from the Gunnery branch.
Okay.
He's got this innate sense of like sixth sense. Koi explanation nahi hai.
You can't put
But
words.
he knows, he just feels it. So this is something which, I used to always mock at this kind of thing, that intuition kind of thing. But if you're doing something for a particular time, you get that intuition, which served me well when I went to INT.
Okay.
Right? Like I can give you certain things. Whenever you're talking, if you feel that somebody is telling a lie or is making up, you see this Adam's apple, it goes up and down because he's swallowing the saliva.
Okay.
So whenever I used to question somebody, I see this going up and down. I
But
know
what
that
about
person is up to something.
But there are some people who don't have a very prominent apple.
No, it's not prominent. But still, if you can see that thing when you ask a question, it goes up and down. It's again intuition, something you can't 100% say, but 99% of the time that guy is just building up story, or he's not giving you the right information, right? So intuition, when you do a particular thing over and over again, it comes in. So this is very near to me.
This is something. Imagine just had you given the order to fire, you would have been regretful all your life, And
probably we wouldn't have had this conversation in podcast. Would have gone to the court martial.
With a good intention, but all the signs was it appeared that they were foe, but then it turned just because of intuition. Now you didn't possess, he possessed it. My God, that was something.
Another one was again in the ship. I'm not going to the intelligence front. When we had this tall boat like Sudarshini mein, हम लोग sail कर रहे थे. This typhoon called Bofa, and this was the first time I'm seeing a typhoon in the middle of the sea. मैम आपको मतलब आपके जितने whatever gods you worship, everyone you'll realize them, you'll remember them, and they'll pray for it, because the ship forecastle was literally scooping out water. It used to go inside the water,
oh my God,
and then come up. And then उसके ऊपर हमारे जो trainers थे, they were all like so like we were never told like okay go below decks. Like जो अपना watch में था वो watch पे था, right? We used to literally put our like harness to a strong point and just hold over there and be at watch. And that experience of like seeing 15-foot waves just going and your ship is going below the water and then coming up was one of the, I mean, I can still have goosebumps listening to that.
You get humbled in front of nature. They say that's would be one of your experience. I'm sure it's often occurred to me. There's been also in the news, and there is a Navy keeps trying to acquire fighter aircraft, and Air Force keeps saying, that Navy wants its own Air Force. And why can't, so questions come is that why can't Navy use the firepower of Air Force? Why do they require to have a component of Air Force in them? What is the reason and logic, Amshu?
Very good question. So an aircraft, what you're talking about is why do we need an aircraft carrier and why do you need fighter aircraft?
Yeah, fighter especially.
So Navy is the only branch which has all three dimensions: on the water, above the water, under the water. So above the water is what your question is about. So whenever aircraft carrier is not meant to defend your own littoral zone, like your own area, like say your exclusive zone is there, like your territorial waters are there. These are not meant for this. For that you have other warships, you have your Air Force, etc. to do it. Even at sea also, there are, I mean, even in Air Force, there are maritime squadrons which are there. right? But if you're going to a place where you don't have, say, a base, Air Force base, okay, how will you go and exert dominance? Suppose आपको साउथ चाइना सी में कल अगर से फॉर एग्जांपल हाइपोथेटिकली उधर पे जाके यू हैव टू डोमिनेट, राइट? आपका एयर एनवेलप यू वांट टू डोमिनेट, ओके? योर एयरक्राफ्ट और योर एयरफोर्स विल टेक ऑफ फ्रॉम इंडिया. Do they have, like, they might have endurance to go one time and come back, but if you have to have like a prolonged presence over there, then you need a place where your aircraft can come and land, fuel up and then go back, right? So that's the whole reason why you need an aircraft carrier. It's like a floating airfield, right? So that any country in the world, wherever you see that there is unrest, you see US, the first thing they'll do is, hey, we are sending our Nimitz class aircraft carrier to that place. What does that mean? That means that I am getting my aircraft carrier to this place. My aircrafts on that aircraft carrier are able to dominate that area, and that's why I have more strength in that area. So this is the main reason why we have aircraft carriers. Our ambitions, as in when we grow, and our economies when it is growing, we have to have this kind of capability to go to a particular place and have that dominance in that area. So that's the reason why we need to have aircraft carriers.
How you mentioned about South China Sea, Amshu. How prepared are we for handling China?
So we always talk about two-front and now 2.5 front war. I'll limit myself to two-front war. So two-front war is, we have two major adversaries on our east and west. So generally when we were there, right, what we do is the whole Indian Ocean region, we are the dominant players. Strategically, if you see, China has more number of ships than India right now, right? But what we have in this region is dominance. So how we strategically operate? If you go eastward, right, towards your Singapore, there's something called the Malacca Strait, okay? If you go to Indonesia, between those islands there are small gaps. These are called as choke points, okay? They are called as Lombok Strait, and one more I'm not able to recall. So these are the choke points which are there. Small area between the islands. Now if I choke this area,
Correct.
there is no way the vessels can transgress that South China Sea to Indian Ocean region. So China के पास होगा, like aircraft carrier or whatever the ships, how will they be able to enter our region if I choke this points? So for me, my force level is such way that I need to dominate those choke points, right? Tomorrow,
but when you are dominating that choke point, it's in international water, right?
Correct,
yes. So if you go there, they also have all the right to fight back.
100%. So what we do is, this is again in case of war only, right? When hostilities are broken out, at that point of time, our international relationships do matter. When like we know that Indonesia ka China se banta nahi hai utna. We know Vietnam doesn't have great relationships with China, right? They also have like contested zones, etc. So we go to that place and like when you say, when I choke the point, आपको बोला submarine क्यों होता है, मैं वो choke point के नीचे एक submarine डाल दूंगा, ऊपर पे जो भी जहाज आ रहा है, like whatever ships are going, I'll just take that down, right? So that will become, you can't transit through those areas. So in case of war, there are different, like kind of approach to it. In case of peace, we don't do it. These are international waters, like you said. We cannot avoid any, war fighting or enemy countries from not using these waters. But what we do is, whenever there is say a scientific research vessel which is coming from China, we tail it right from the start. Okay, we'll see where it is going, what it is doing, what it is mapping. So we'll also gather its electronic intelligence. So we'll create our own database on why it is here and what it is doing. Suppose say it comes to our exclusive economic zone, EEZ जो हम लोग बोलते हैं, which is 200 nautical miles from the place of your land border.
Okay.
तो उधर पे जो natural resources है, may it be gas, like natural gas, fisheries, whatever. If there is a research vessel coming and doing some activities over there, then we have a right to go challenge it, bring it to the international forum saying that, hey, this is our exclusive economic zone. You cannot like come and, do your activities over here. That is UNCLOS, United Nations, I think, law of seas, which is there, which defines all these things, what you can do, what you can't do in an exclusive economic zone, who has the right over the exclusive economic zone. So these are the laws which govern this place, and that's how we deploy our assets to ensure that these natural resources, these interests of the nation is also safeguarded.
Mm-hmm. When the three services are famous for its hierarchy, for its pyramidical structure. Is it like during crisis or during situation of hostility, the entire decision is on that particular crew or that particular team to take a call whether to shoot, to kill, or how to go about it? Because obviously you have to take a split-second decision. So I want to know, does hierarchy come in between this, other regimental, the environment? Does it stop us from taking decisions? Does it happen, Amshu?
Yeah. So, ma'am, like for the Navy, we do not have regimental system.
Okay.
I can speak for my own service. This is something which I wanted to address. Like people think the armed forces is hierarchical. Yes, it is hierarchical, and I'll tell you where that hierarchy comes into play. So, in my own unit, the operational room was renamed as a room for intellectual dissent.
Acha.
Yes.
Okay. So the dissent is encouraged.
Yes. When it is encouraged is also important.
Okay.
The reason for that is whenever you are planning, and my unit was in intelligence, right? In intelligence, mein thoda different hai. When you go into a field, when you're gathering human intelligence, you're all operators. Usme hierarchy nahi hota.
Correct.
Kyunki enemy or your subject will not identify you as, oh, you're an officer, you're like a sailor. Aisa nahi hota. So everyone is at par. You're a good operator or a bad operator, right? And when you come into that ops room, for me, the best ideas need to win because the mission is more important. And ma'am, like my crew, whatever they're, officers and sailors, right? They used to come and say, sir, this I don't agree with. Okay. We need to do it in a particular way. And not the officers. I'm telling about sailors also. They used to come and say, and trust me, some of the ideas were way much better, right? Than what I could think of or what my officers could think of. And once that plan is done, right? When it goes to the execution mode, then it's hierarchy. Boss, you've been told to do this. This is what needs to happen. You have to go and deliver. My superiors also expect the same from me. Even with me, ma'am, whenever, like last 6 years in intelligence, we directly report to, higher up in chain. Usually it's a rear ad or a vice ad, right? So the last 6 years, I've just reported to the rear ads and the vice ads. It's number 2, right? Like in the rank structure. At that level, whenever as a young lieutenant commander also I've told matters of intelligence to them, they've always been receptive. They've always given the due that, hey, this person has this expertise, he knows this area better, and I'll take this information from him to plan my actions, right? So I've never seen a leader who has told that, hey, I am vice admiral, I am so and so, and this is my way. So that's never happened. That I want to break that myth. Since I'm now in the corporate life and doing it, as a matter of fact, I've seen more of hierarchy in the corporate rather than in my own service.
I just wanted to ask you that. So military leadership is one of its kind, all my guests, all of them agree and endorse, that the values which we imbibe during our training and thereafter, it's invaluable. And if I think any business idea, we can give it a further boost if our ideas are also taken and considered. Don't you think that we are already created or trained in such a manner that we become troubleshooters?
Ma'am, we are absolutely. And I need to put this on record.
Yeah.
Almost all business jargons and processes come from military. Strategy, planning, everything is military. I'll tell you like some of the things, right? We have something called a stand-up. You've heard of the stand-up, right?
हाँ. Morning parade.
हाँ, morning parade. हमारे में हम both watches बोलते हैं उसको. ठीक है. अभी वो करके like पैदाइशी से वो करके आया है. So everything is from that. But where I think young officers kind of lack little bit is upward management, because right from the get-go, we have somebody or the other as a team, right? And especially in the Navy, we don't take individual weapons and go and do war fighting. We are a team. We are a crew of 100, 200, 300 or 2000, and we have a ship which is our equipment, and we take that to war to win the war. And not only our ship, we always go in fleet, right? There are other ships which have to, like say, one ship will be good at anti-submarine, other ship will be good at air to surface to air, the other ship is an aircraft carrier. So all three have a different function. They have to work in unison for a mission to be successful. So we are always a team people. So we are good at like bottom management, like our teams we are able to wonderfully like manage. But top management, I think we have some things to learn from the business side.
But that of course, but I still feel the leadership, not just some leadership, the culture which we come from. For example, business continuity plan, which they refer in, we have it everywhere in military. I mean, there's always a standby. We never rely on one resource or one action. There's always a plan B, plan C also in many cases. So the BCP comes naturally to us. It's that is what I want to tell many people, that how equipped we are in our training and in our thinking. More important, very agile mind. Don't you agree with the agility of our thinking? We can if we get 10 problems, we know how to prioritize it. Which one to attack first. That comes naturally to us.
And I'll say why we get it naturally also, because we have like train and deploy kind of model in the services. But in the corporate, it is not so. It's you just get deployed and you kind of train on the job if you're lucky. Otherwise, you have to learn it the hard way. So that I think gives that, like, our training is done. Whatever basics are there, we all know it. Then we go and whatever comes our way, we are able to tackle it. In the business, that takes a little bit of time is what I feel for everybody to kind of get it. And then, of course, once you get it, that natural instinct is there to see around the corners and plan it. But again, like, this is something which is more important. In services, we are mostly team players. We don't do anything individually. In the business, there is team play. There is a team at play, but also there is a lot of individual contribution. So that's something which is very different from business and service.
Yes, obviously that has to be, but I feel that still the culture of military and the way a person, everyone, whether it's an officer or not an officer, the way they are trained and the way they imbibe some very enviable traits, which can be deployed and I feel can be used in a better manner.
It's like
provided you give opportunity. That is very essential. Sadly, all of them are restricted to security duties. I feel that, you are underutilizing. And मुझे लगता है India में, I've spoken to this with one of my earlier guests also, that respect comes only on national holidays. Baki din they forget. Okay, you forget, but you can't forget the values which we have, and you are not utilizing it is a shame, I feel. So somewhere I feel that has to be people have to be sensitized. That give a task and see, that because all of us are generalists, we can, if you give, and it's barely any time, you can come up to speed. But I feel that the corporate doesn't give enough opportunity. Somewhere they are intimidated, or I don't know exactly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
I echo with your thoughts. The major, अपना perception भी ऐसे बनाया के रखा है ना कि जैसे ही फौज बोलते हैं, we have everyone comes to their mind as brick and mortar, like a guy with a rifle, boots on ground, right? But I'm saying, I can see that, right? Like a TPM करके है, technical program manager, which is there across industries, right? हमारे जो electrical और engineering officers जो करते हैं, it is exactly what TPM does.
There you go.
Vendors लेके आता है, उनका equipment लेके आता है. हमारा जो जहाज है, जहाज इंडिया का है, उसका गन एक जगह से होगा, उसका रडार एक जगह से होगा, उसका फायर सिस्टम एक जगह से होगा. different OEMs, different nations, they bring them on board, get it all assembled together, make sure that it works in cohesion, right? And maintenance hota hai uska. This is what a technical program manager does in the business. This is exactly what our people just do it.
Yeah.
So I think even in business world, they're not aware of these things.
Yeah, they're not aware.
So
Let us use this forum for making them aware. I just hope all those who are listening and those who are in corporate, please understand, take a cue from what we are discussing, because just don't be dismissive.
yeah.
Just because, we come with a rank, don't assume certain things. You got to know what, I think we can, tremendous value we can bring, any place, anywhere, provided you want.
Yeah.
It has to be, someone wants it. If you don't want it, then of course, then nothing can be
The
done.
other way around also, like the assumptions, right? Since this hierarchy ka jo bola tha, I hate hierarchy. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I have served 12 years, proudly served, and amazing leaders I had, but hierarchy as a concept, I hate it. But the perception in the business is, bhai, tum to hierarchical organization se aaye ho, so you should be very used to it and you should be okay with it. So, which is not the case. So, certain
This, as you said, like a room of dissent. A room, you said, or what is exactly where you, and even we have, even in our inquiries and everything, there is a dissent note which can be put. You don't have to unanimously agree. If you have a disagreement, you can put it in paper. That is what is incorporated. And another thing is the documentation which we do.
Yeah.
I think it's scrupulous. Nobody can.
SOPs, you can't
Just
beat it.
the SOPs and the way we document each activity of ours. You ask us to take out anything 20, 30 years back, wala, pull it out in jiffy and give it to you.
Simple. So many things, man. There's something called ERIC in ships. Easy to remember if consulted. वो basically check-off list है.
Okay.
अगर तुमको like missile इस direction से आ रहा है, तो क्या है? Low visibility है तो क्या है? Right? तुम्हारा जहाज में अगर fire हो गया, तो वो क्या है? Check-off list है. That, I mean, everything is so meticulously like informed, like you said, documented and told that, bhai, ye hoga to ye hoga. That's something I think business world can take a lesson from the
take
service.
a leaf from a book, absolutely. अंशु को अपने काफ़ी सारे ट्रेडिशंस होते हैं, जैसे हमारे एयरफोर्स के भी बड़े सारे ट्रेडिशंस हैं, आर्मी के अपने अपने ट्रेडिशंस हैं. आर्मी के बारे में तो खैर कईयों को सब कुछ थोड़ा थोड़ा पता होता है, एंड इवन I mean, Air Force, I know. Tell me some of your traditions which you think are, different and interesting.
What comes to my mind are like two. One is of the ethos of the Navy. Another is fun part of the Navy. I'll cover both. In 1971 war, India-Pakistan, that's why in East Pakistan war, there was a ship called INS Kukri, right? This Kukri was commanded by Captain Malla. If you see the eastward part of the nation, Diu ke niche, around 16-17 nautical miles, his ship was hit by a torpedo.
Okay.
Right? So the ship was hit, it was incapacitated, and it was sinking. There is a tradition in Navy that whenever a ship goes down, warships goes down, the captain goes down along with the ship. When the ship was hit, there were rescue boats which were deployed. He could have gone to one of the rescue boats, could have saved himself, but the captain chose to stay on board, and he went down with the ship, for which he was awarded Veer Chakra posthumously.
Really?
Yes.
This is a tradition?
Yes.
I had no idea, I'm sure. I mean, why wouldn't he could save his life?
Yes.
Right?
So this is what I call as the ethos. And when I first told you, ma'am, we call the ship as she, right? That affinity you get with the warship, it's just not a machine. It becomes so intimate for you. And at that level where if your ship is going down, it's almost like you do not have, you have like,
your soul is
your soul is lost, and like you kind of know that I couldn't save her, right? So that's a tradition which is there. Of course, this is a tradition. Every time it is followed, may not be, but this is something which we have as a tradition.
Powerful leadership lesson.
Yep.
It's like
we don't just let go
surface before self.
Yeah.
That's.
And then we have another fun tradition whenever there is an equator. Whenever the ships cross the equator, right? During the ancient times, crossing the equator was a huge thing. Not all ships, wooden ships, would cross the equator, would go those long distances. So whenever there was a crossing of that equator, there was something called crossing the line ceremony, which was undertaken. That tradition is still there in the Navy. Not only in the Indian Navy, but almost all navies around the world. So what happens is we have a motto called Shano Varuna. So after we cross the equator, what happens is the ship's crew take up some, we'll have costumes, etc., which would have taken from the base, knowing that we'll cross this equator some point of time during our exercise, etc. So one guy will dress up as like a Varun Dev, then there will be his consort, then there'll be his other creatures who are of sea, etc. And then the command of the ship, the CO, hands over the command to the Varun Dev for that 1 or 2 hours of duration. So the command is basically with the Varun Dev.
And who's the Varun Dev?
Varun Dev will be, so when we were cadets, one of the cadets was the Varun Dev. If it's in a ship, it might be one of the junior sailors who will be the Varun Dev. Who's the junior sailor or a sailor will be the Varun Dev. Jisko thoda well-built guy will make him. So that guy, after he becomes Varun Dev, he'll start asking questions and he'll start asking the officers to do a lot of tasks.
अच्छा वो 2 घंटा मतलब he is the ruler,
he is the
queen
ruler.
of Sheba kind.
हाँ तो उसके preparations भी होता है, वो लड्डू होता है उसमें, don't ask me what and all goes into that laddu, but you will not be able to survive that laddu after that. तो वो लड्डूस बना के रखते हैं, then there will be a water with salt water, then they'll ask you to take push-ups, then there'll be mast के ऊपर जाके इतने टाइम जाके आओ, there'll be various other things that will come in a way, and then there'll be like Varun, they will also tell the commanding officer कि हम लोग सबको 60 days of leave कंपल्सरी चाहिए इस साल.
That's a wish list. I don't think वो मिलता है.
So he cannot say no because the command is there with the Varun Dev. So it's a very So it's so the ask is absurd asks. So the cleverness of the CEO is tested over there. That how he can navigate that. So and then we are called as the shellbacks. एक certificate मिलता है. So we call as a shellback. So that's one more tradition that I have. I would recollect from the Navy time, which is very fun to be part of it.
What is shellback?
So once you cross the equator, you're called as a shellback.
Shellback.
Yes, shellback.
Okay, SHELLBACK.
Yes.
Okay, what is the logic behind this word?
I am not aware of that.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up. Good question.
Nice. Very nice. I'm sure it was fun talking to you. I'm glad at least you all have some fun moments also in the ship, besides having such difficult times. So these fun moments keep you going, I guess. You came to my podcast, you helped us understand what Navy is all about and the difficulties you all face, hardships, and outside it looks like everything is very rosy, and what we think is that most of the people think that army is the one, which is true. I'm not trying to steal their thunder at all, that they do, but how much of contribution the Navy does. Lot of doubts you cleared. I'm sure it was wonderful interacting with you. I just hope that those who are hearing are able to appreciate and are able to give the due and respect which Navy rightly deserves. Thanks for serving the nation, Amshu, and wonderful having you.
Thanks so much, ma'am. Thanks for this opportunity to have given me that I can come here and speak about the Navy. Just some closing comments. Also, I wanted to address this some time back. 4% of the nation's GDP comes from the seaward side. Around 5 trillion barrels of oil, which is the energy requirement of the country, comes from the seaward side. Our 95% of the trade happens, 90 to 95% of the trade happens from the seaward side. So sea is most important for our country. So protecting the sea lines of communication for this to happen, for India to become Viksit Bharat or whatever, like the aims we have, the aspirations we have, it is extremely essential for having a strong Navy and having a dominant posture in this area. I'm proud to have been part of that organization, and every time I see it growing, I always wish it the best. A large part of my youth, I can say, was in that organization, and I've been cared for, nourished, and kind of also mentored from that organization. So I'll ever be grateful for that organization. And for anyone who wants to come and join the Indian Navy, please be passionate about it, and it's a wonderful service to get into.
Thank you, I'm sure.
Yeah.